Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Good evening, distinguished guests, members, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the annual council meeting. Could I ask everyone to note the fire safety instruction that on hearing the alarm, you should leave the building via the doors at the back of the chamber and congregate in the north car park. Also, please switch off your mobile phone and turn any other electronic devices being used to silent. This evening's meeting is being streamed and the recording will be accessible via the council's website. Finally, please remain seated whilst speaking if it would cause difficulty to stand. Item 1, apologies for absence. Apologies for absence have been received by Councillors McShane, Clark, Murphy and Baldock. Are there any others? Item 2, Mayor's announcements. First of all, may I offer a warm welcome to everyone to this evening's annual council meeting. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our new members, Councillor Aaron, Baksh, Clark, Gascoigne, Godfrey, Gregory, Munden, Nicholson and Thompson to the Chamber and offer my congratulations on their recent election. I would also like to offer congratulations to the re-election of Councillor Gordon, Mayo, Patel and Wagland. I would also like to offer my best wishes to the non-returning councillors, Councillors Cloak, Gibson, Gerard, Lewis, Naylor, Poppy and Slade, and thank them for their service on behalf of the council, their wards and the wider community. Serving as Mayor of Brentford over the past civic year has been the privilege of a lifetime. Leading Remembrance Day parade along the High Street as Mayor is a true honour, as many former mayors here today will no doubt agree. It was a privilege to represent the borough as we come together to remember those who served, sacrificed their lives for us. I thoroughly enjoyed meeting members of our community, both young and old. I had the pleasure of welcoming pupils from Long Ridings Primary School and Hogarth Primary School to the Chamber, where we discussed the role of the Mayor and even held a lively debate. We will not be short of any young politician or lawyers in the coming years. Of course, I reminded them that no matter which side of the Chamber you sit on, you can always come together afterwards over a friendly glass of orange juice. From visiting schools and to spending time in residential care homes, where I was joined in a sing-song, it has been a joy to engage with the people of all ages. As Mayor, I was president of our town twinning associations, and our visits to Rote and Montbazon last summer were truly memorable. We received warm welcome and an exceptionally well looked after throughout our stay. I feel incredibly fortunate to have met so many inspiring individuals across the borough and beyond, from charities and community groups to musicians, schools, and both long-standing and new local businesses. During the year, thanks to the generosity of many, we have raised $6,800 for my two charities, Recall Trampoline Club and Wilderness Foundation UK. Each will receive £3,400. May I take this opportunity to present the donations to the representatives of the charities here this evening. First of all, may I ask Tricia Sharp and Kevin Kelleher from the Recall Trampoline Centre to come forward and receive their donation. Your donation. May I also ask Joe Roberts and Claire Martin from the Wilderness Foundation UK to come forward and receive your donation. I hope also I have met my commitment to be fair-minded and constitutionally guided, chair of this chamber, and it's been of immense personal pride that we've actually got through all of our council business at ordinary council this year without requirement of deferrals or votes without debate, which, having checked, is the first time that this has happened in my time as councillor. However, this is not because of me. We have seen an elevation in approach, language and consideration over the last year, which I feel far from perfect. I believe shows that we can be a chamber that will make our residents proud. Finally, I would like to offer my thanks to all those in this chamber who have supported me in gaining this opportunity and seeking to do my best to fulfil this office. Thank you to our councillors, officers and the people of the wonderful borough of Brentwood for their kind support and my best wishes for the year ahead. Item 3. Designate a mayor for the ensuing municipal year. Councillor Aspinall, would you like to propose a mayoral candidate?
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to propose Councillor Nicky Cuthbert for the position of Mayor of this borough. I therefore move. Is it appropriate to talk about her now or later?
Now.
Now?
Yeah, no.
Do I have to? Yeah. Okay. Nicky has been a member of this council for some years now and has extended herself greatly and has presented herself at all matters that required her attention that I asked her to do, that the demands of being a councillor local representing Shenfield required her to do, has never stinted in that role once. She is now coming into a position that you know well, Mr. Mayor, takes up an enormous amount of your private time and the things that you hold dear. So, along with Thomas, she will be able to do that. Know Nicky so well that she will be able to do this with aplomb. I have no hesitation in recommending Nicky Cuthbert for the role of Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Aspinall. Do you have a seconder? Councillor Warthog.
Yes, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to support my fellow Shenfield councillor Nicky Cuthbert as Mayor for the forthcoming year. Nicky is a Brentwood girl through and through. She is a product of that wonderfully empowering education for young ladies, the Brentwood Ursuline. I should know, as I'm married to one from the same era, and this chamber has been blessed with contributions from other Ursulines over the years. She cares passionately about our borough and all its people. That is the hallmark of a good mayor. She has a deep commitment to public service, something she's already passed on to the next generation, as her son sits in this chamber with us and with her. She is also an internationalist, having lived and worked in Germany, and is a long-standing supporter of our town twinning associations, as well as the work we have done to support the many Ukrainians who have settled in our town. Representing our town with pride will be second nature to her. Now, I've heard suggestions that Nikki may not be tough enough to control the council chamber. Oh, how little you know, Councillor Cuthbert, if you think that. And having started a tradition last year of dropping a little poetry into this occasion, I couldn't resist responding to that suggestion with a poem, with an extract from a poem by Nikita Gill. I think your bones were made in an elsewhere place. How else does anyone explain this inconceivable strength that makes you? The way you look into danger's mouth and defeat it so effortlessly, and throw your head back and laugh. Paradox girl, mighty woman, you are the thing that terrifies them. Defined by no man, you are your own story, blazing through the world, turning history into her story. And when they dare to tell you about all the things you cannot be, you smile at them and tell, I am both war and woman, and you cannot stop me. Above everything else, however, Nikki loves Brentwood, and I know Brentwood will love her as she serves it as her mayor. I'm proud to second you, Nikki, to be mayor for the forthcoming year.
Thank you, Councillor Worsfold. Is it agreed that Councillor Nikki Cuthbert be elected Mayor of the Borough of Brentwood for the year 2026-2027? Councillor Nikki Cuthbert, please read out the declaration of acceptance of office. Yes.
I, Councillor Nicola Mary Cuthbert, having been elected to the office of Mayor of the Borough of Brentwood, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Mayor and past Mayor will now leave the chamber for a short while. Thank you.
Please be seated.
Please be seated. Firstly, I would like to sincerely thank members for supporting my nomination for the role of Mayor for the municipal year 2026-2027. I feel immensely honoured and privileged to be elected and will take inspiration from my predecessors, many of whom are here today. I'm humbled by the trust placed in me, and I pledge to do my utmost to honour this. To our outgoing Mayor, Jay LaPlane, I would like to offer my congratulations on his successful year in office. I cannot possibly hope to match his wonderful smile or singing prowess, but will continue to follow his lead and maintain the balance and impartiality he has shown throughout his year in office and in the Chamber. I sincerely hope that we can all demonstrate cohesion and support throughout the coming year for the benefit of our wonderful town. A few words about me. I was born and raised in Romford and Gidea Park and attended school in Brentwood, encouraged by the force of nature that was Sister Margaret, Mother Superior of the Mayoral Hospital, where my aunt was a patient. Thus began my connection with Brentwood, and I moved here in 1983. My children have all attended school in Brentwood for at least part of their school lives, and my grandchildren continue to do so. In 1992, I had the opportunity to live and work in Germany for some time, and I retained strong European links, for which I am very grateful. I am therefore a keen advocate of our town twinning associations and look forward to their continued success. I'm delighted to announce that my principal charity this year will be Challenging MND. This is a Brentwood-based charity founded by Alex Gibson, MBE, supporting individuals and families living with motor neurone disease across the UK. The charity provides rapid, bespoke support, including specialist equipment, home adaptations, respite, and the creation of lifelong memories for those affected by this devastating disease. During my time in office, I will be supported by my friend and fellow councillor, Mrs. Vicky Davis. Could I ask Mrs. Vanessa LaPlane, as the outgoing Mayor's consort, to invest her with the chain of office? May I ask Councillor Haigh to propose a vote of thanks to the retiring Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Jay, former Mayor of Brentwood, you are now at the end of what has been an incredibly busy year for you in your capacity as outgoing Mayor. A year when you have been invited to many different events, which you have attended as the representative of this wonderful town as its first citizen. You have both occupied and fulfilled your role with distinction. You were, of course, my deputy mayor in the year preceding your year as mayor. A warm and enduring memory of the service you provided to the mayor, which was excellent throughout, was an instance where I was asked a question. I believe the question was asked by the late, great Mark Reed, who himself was a former mayor. The question was met with a brief pause, followed by a phone saying the words, "I don't understand the question." That phone, of course, was yours. Siri was, I understand, subsequently dismissed without notice or pay. For me, a significant feature of your mayoral year has been not just the warmth of your smile, but your readiness to smile, your cheerful disposition and your good humour. Being the Mayor of Brentwood, as we've heard, is a huge privilege. It can be solemn. There are many events you attend where the adherence to protocol is essential. But there are also events that enable you to interact with residents, with charities, with schools, with families, with individuals, with our people. These commitments to civic duty are commitments you have proven to be very well suited for. Worthy of mention is the fact that you have undertaken these commitments whilst holding down a full-time job. Quite an achievement. And in this regard, it will be remiss of me not to mention your dutiful and delightful wife, Vanessa, who has been at your side every step of the way. So it's goodbye to the wonderfully heavy robe, the beautiful chain, the cabot, the white gloves, and all the responsibilities that go with it. Your contribution to your office has been immense, and not, of course, forgetting your fundraising activities. We've heard that you've raised funds for your two charities for some £6,800. That's an amount of money which really makes a difference. A final word of warning. This coming year, every time you walk into a room, not everyone will be pleased to see you. And of course, that, as are many former mayors that we have in the chamber will be aware, is a feature of your mayoral year. Thank you, Councillor Jay LaPlane, former Mayor of Brentwood, for everything that you have done for Brentwood.
Thank you, Councillor Haig. Councillor G. Barrett, would you like to second this? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and welcome to your office. It is absolutely right that tonight, this evening we take a moment to recognise and, more importantly, thank our outgoing Mayor, Councillor Jay LaPlane, and Vanessa for what has been a truly memorable year. Now, Jay, I will start by saying this. I have genuinely been impressed by your engagement with the community and your love of Brentwood. You've approached the role of Mayor with energy, enthusiasm and a willingness to get involved at every possible opportunity, whether that's with community groups, local organisations or schools across the borough. You've not just attended, you have participated. And your work with young people in particular has stood out, spending time in those schools, engaging with those students, bringing the schools to this chamber and representing the borough to the next generation. These things really matter and they leave a lasting impression. Now, Madam Mayor, I also cannot stand here without mentioning Jay's singing. I have, over the past year, seen him perform on more occasions than I arguably would have chosen, and yet every single time it's been delivered with enthusiasm, commitment, and, against all the odds, enjoyment from the audience. It's brought character to the role, it's made people smile, it's certainly ensured that the mayoralty your mayoralty will not be forgotten anytime soon. Within this chamber, Jay, you have presided with fairness and good humour, and I think it's fair to say that, for the most part, we have conducted our business in good order and reasonably good fashion. Vanessa, I also want to pay particular tribute to you. The role of Mayoress is often understated, but your contribution has been anything but. You have supported Jay throughout the year with dedication, real warmth and real presence. You've been an exemplary Mayoress for this borough. Although I do feel I may place on record one small grievance. Your quite exceptional ability at quiz nights, specifically your consistent success and seeming delight in beating both myself and my brother, remains to this day a matter I regard as highly questionable in terms of fairness and the reputation of Brentwood. But in all seriousness, it's been a joy to see you both fully embrace this year. You've leaned into your role as first citizens, giving your time, your energy and your personality to our community. You have strengthened connections, supported local groups and enhanced the reputation of this council across the borough. You have brought visibility, pride and a real sense of occasion to the office of Mayor, and for that we are all sincerely grateful. Madam Mayor, I ask members to join me in thanking Councillor Jay LaPlane and his wife Vanessa for an outstanding and memorable year of service to us all. Thank you.
Councillor Aspinall, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Jay, thank you very much for a year that you, I know, will never forget, especially capped off with last night's result making Arsenal Premier League champions. And the fact that you are on the way to Budapest at the weekend, I wish you well there. Truly a memorable year for you. Thank you, Vanessa, for helping in that role that you've undertaken so well and all the duties that have come your way. It is not an onerous task, but it is a demanding task being mayor of this borough, and everyone wants to see you. It is an enormous responsibility. Well done, Nikki. And I think that you have a lot to live up to. All of our mayors over the past decade or more have been tremendous in representing the first citizen of Brentwood, no matter which party they came from. The role has evolved over the years. We have an international bent to it. Less than we used to have. I mean, we used to have to go out to Brentwood in Tennessee, if I remember. But it's still a very demanding role. And thank you very much, Joe. You've done extremely well in your position. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Aspinall. Councillor Russell, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Past Mayor, it's once again an honour to stand before you today to express gratitude to you, past Mayor, Councillor LaPlane, for your tremendous hard work and dedication you have shown to the borough throughout your year in office. Before I proceed, however, I must begin by offering my congratulations on your re-election as Councillor for Whalley. To secure your seat against the backdrop of the current political climate is no small achievement. But to do so while serving as a city mayor is truly remarkable. There is a long-held view that mayoralty can be something of a curse at election time, with many holders of office failing to retain their seat. To win with almost 40% of the vote is clear proof not only of how hard you work, but of the genuine affection and respect in which you are held by the residents you serve. Within this council chamber, you have presided with great fairness. I have watched closely as you have maintained discipline and order, yet always tempered authority with that characteristic smile. A gesture that so often diffuses tension and brings calm to even the most lively debates. It is quite possible that you now hold the record for the highest number of casting votes ever made by a mayor. Yet looking back, I'm certain that whenever you were called upon to use that deciding vote, you did so with complete impartiality, blind to party politics, just as blind you are to colour. Beyond these walls, you have been an exceptional ambassador for Brentwood. You have represented us with pride and dignity and have raised much needed funds for your chosen charities. Causes that will bring real benefit to residents right across the borough. During any mayoral term, there are countless engagements that pass without fanfare or media attention, yet every bit important as those occasions accompanied by greater pomp and ceremony. Only a few weeks ago, I was walking along the corridor here and I happened to glance into the chamber. There you were, standing right here, addressing a group of young people. I felt a great sense of pride. Great sense of pride in that moment, imagining the impact you were having and the inspiration you were giving to the next generation of our community. It was at your civic dinner that I first learned of your passion for walking and how you have perambulated across most, if not all, of the districts of Essex. I'm sure you have come to know and appreciate this county just as much through exploring its public rights of way as you have through your career in public life. From your first election as ward member, through every step of your journey to this past year as first citizen. Mr. Past Mayor, as some here may know, I'm a keen winemaker. When you first took office, the buds on the vines of my allotment in Whalley burst into life. Throughout the summer, the fruit grew and ripened. Throughout the winter, the crushed grapes fermented and turned into wine, and only last Sunday was it bottled. I wanted to create something special, something I'm very pleased to present to you this evening. It is my hope that you will share this bottle with your wife, the Mayoress, and that you both savour every drop whilst you think of your term in office together as first citizens of the borough.
Thank you, Councillor Russell. Councillor Godfrey, would you like to speak?
Sure.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It is perhaps slightly unusual that I stand here offering thanks to a mayor whose final day in office coincides with my first serving on this council. That means I cannot claim years of shared experience or personal stories from this chamber. But perhaps it also allows me to recognise something important from a fresh perspective. Anyone willing to dedicate a year of their life to civic service, endless engagements, public duties, charity events, and the peculiar rituals of local government, including accepting gifts, deserves sincere thanks and respect. The office of Mayor matters because it represents continuity, community, and public service above party politics. Throughout your year in office, you have carried out those duties with dignity and commitment, and for that you have our gratitude. On behalf of my group, I thank you for your service to the borough and wish you well for the future. Thank you.
Is the vote of thanks agreed? Agreed. May I ask Councillor J. LaPlane to reply to the council?
Madam Mayor, distinguished guests, members, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for those kind words. As I conclude my duties as Mayor, I'd offer a few reflections of my own. The role of Mayor is both busy and at times complex. Through the year, there are countless events that celebrate every aspect of our borough, along with the many groups who do such good within it. You also maintain strong bonds with our neighbouring boroughs and districts. We are truly fortunate to have been supported by such fantastic, dedicated civic team. Zoe, thank you so much for the support throughout the year, for managing the civic calendar with such energy and for being an absolute joy to work with. Claire, your support is invaluable. Having you to call on and that reassuring voice in my right ear during council meetings makes a massive difference. And Paul, you are rightly held with such high regard across the borough. From conversations Vanessa and I have had with the Lord Lieutenant, the High Sheriff, fellow mayors and chairs, it is clearly your reputation extends throughout Essex and beyond. Your experience and guidance have meant a great deal to us, and it was a pleasure to work with such a nice bloke. Vanessa and I would truly miss working with you all. We do, however, have a small gift for you. A gift for Zoe and a gift for Paul and Claire. Vanessa, would you present those, please? Slightly out of protocol, but I'm still at liberty to do so. Allow me, Madam Mayor. I would also like to thank the past mayors, aldermen and alderwomen, and the freemen and freemen who have supported us from day one. Seeing your familiar faces and receiving your advice and encouragement has meant a great deal to Vanessa and me as we have represented this wonderful borough. It is clear that these roles form part of a rich fabric, one of which I am now a thread. My appreciation goes to the cadet contingents, the guides, the scouts. Meeting so many impressive, engaged young people gives me real encouragement and hope for the future. And thank you to the other pillar of our borough, the Royal British Legion. Your support is unwavering and you remain the heart of our civic identity. Vanessa and I have been honoured to be associated with you this year. Madam Mayor, congratulations on becoming first citizen of this wonderful borough. As we have heard, you will bring all the qualities required for this honourable role. I have no doubt you will make the members, the council, the people of the borough and yourself very proud. Finally, I cannot finish without thanking our mayoress for last year. As we do with everything, we are a partnership. Mayor and Mayoress of Brentwood. Everyone who has met and experienced your warmth, your humour and your intelligence, my pride of being mayor is only enhanced with knowing what we did together. Madam Mayor, please accept our warm wishes for the coming year.
Thank you, Councillor LaPlane. Could I ask Mr Stevenson to present Councillor LaPlane with the past mayor's badge and a gift from officers together with a memento of a successful civic dinner? Could I ask Mr Stevenson to present the past mayor's consort, Mrs Vanessa LaPlane, with flowers as a thank you for her support to Councillor LaPlane during his mayoral year? For my first order of business, I'm thrilled to be investing a new Mayor's Cadet for 2026-27. Following a number of outstanding nominations, I'm delighted to say that Gabriella Rice from Brentwood School CCF has been selected. Gabriella has been described as an exemplary cadet and someone who has continually proved herself a role model to others. It is my pleasure to invest Gabrielle as the Mayor of the Brentwood Cadet. Item 4, designate a deputy mayor for the ensuing municipal year 2026-27. 2 candidates were nominated for the role of deputy mayor. According to the Constitution, voting shall be on the basis of 1 member, 1 vote, and the successful candidate identified by simple majority. The formal adoption of the successful candidate shall take place at the annual council meeting on the majority of votes received on Friday the 15th of May 2026. Councillor Ben Rigby was the successful candidate and is nominated for the office of Deputy Mayor for the municipal year 2026-27. Councillor Kendall, would you like to formally propose Councillor Rigby as Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and may I congratulate you on your appointment as Mayor. Gives me great pleasure to propose my colleague, Councillor Ben Rigby, as Deputy Mayor. Ben has lived in Hutton East with his family since 1980. He was educated at the old Hutton Village School in the heart of his ward before going on to St Martin's School. From St Martin's, Ben attended Clare College, Cambridge, where he read law and did a lot of rowing, winning his blades and competing very unsuccessfully against Sir Steve Redgrave and Sir Matthew Pinsett. These days, a novice boat is named after Ben, but he tells me he stays away from rivers for fear of a by-election. Ben is a non-practising solicitor who has worked in private practice, the Law Society of England and Wales, and the Civil Service, including the Ministry of Defence. This was during the Iraq and Afghanistan conflicts. He is a strong supporter of our armed forces, particularly the Gurkhas, with whom his family has a connection, and his local Air Cadets 2476 Squadron in Hutton. Since 2006, Ben has been working as a legal journalist, editing various legal trade titles and working with city firms, leading counsel and litigation funders. Locally, Ben is an active member of All Saints Church and sits on the Parochial Church Council. He is a strong supporter of the Daily Bread Cafe, the Friends of Shenfield Library, and was a vaccine volunteer with the NHS in the recent pandemic after being hospitalised at Basden Hospital. I first met Ben when I was given his name as someone who might be interested in standing for the Borough Council. It soon became clear from our early discussions that he was keen to stand up for his local community and make sure their voice was heard. It would be fair to say that Ben was quite a demanding candidate, but his knowledge of Hutton and the people and the local community groups was second to none, and I was convinced that given a fair wind he would be elected. Sure enough, he was elected in the Hutton East Ward in 2023, and it's some people's surprise, he managed to hold on to the seat a year later in 2024. During his time with the council, Ben has been a great champion for all the residents of Hutton and has highlighted the brilliant work of so many of its community groups. Before Ben's arrival in the chamber, many councillors had hardly ever heard of Haverings Grove, but Ben has definitely put that community on the map, along with his well-known patronage of Bonnie's Cafe. Ben has done some great work as the council's representative on the Brentwood Community Safety Partnership and on the Brentwood Chamber of Commerce Executive Committee, and he's proved himself as an excellent chair of a committee on audit, governance and scrutiny. Away from politics, he is a keen supporter of Hutton FC and Hutton Cricket Club, and also West Ham, following through the good and not so good times. I believe he's hoping for some divine intervention this weekend. Madam Mayor, I believe Ben will do an excellent job as your Deputy Mayor, supporting you with your duties both inside and outside the Town Hall, and I wish him and yourself well for the year ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kendall. Do you have a seconder? Councillor
Yes.
Wolf, would you like to speak?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'm delighted to be able to second Councillor Rigby's nomination as Deputy Mayor. He and I have much in common. We were elected to this council on the same day, and we're both freelance business journalists, as you've heard, Ben in the legal field and me in finance. And although our paths have not crossed in our journalistic careers, we have found that we've had many colleagues in common in the past. And without fail, all of them sing Councillor Rigby's praises. Diligent, hard-working, thorough, and above all, integrity are words they most frequently use to describe his work as a journalist. And I think those words can be equally applied to his work as a councillor, representing the residents of Hutton East and his many contributions to the work of this council. We've all seen his ability to deconstruct complex issues and bring clarity to discussions that might otherwise lose their way. And another quality that marks Councillor Rigby out and makes him, to my mind, an outstanding candidate for Deputy Mayor is the ease with which he reaches out to members of all parties when issues arise that require a collective and non-political response. And that is something, Madam Mayor, I think will serve us very well over the forthcoming year. So it's a great pleasure to second Councillor Rigby's nomination for Deputy Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Worsfoot. Is it agreed that Councillor Rigby be appointed Deputy Mayor for the year 2026-27?
Agreed.
I declare that Councillor Rigby is appointed Deputy Mayor for the 2026-27 municipal year. May I invite Councillor Rigby to read out and sign the Declaration of Acceptance of Office.
I, Councillor Benjamin Rigby, having been elected to the office of Deputy Mayor of the Borough of Brentwood, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Fellow members, thank you for the honour and privilege of appointing me as the Deputy Mayor of the Borough of Brentwood. I am looking forward to supporting the Mayor in serving and representing the Borough and Council in the coming year. May I also thank my family, both here in the United Kingdom and in Australia, and may I say good day to my nieces and nephews, Aaron, Zara, Henry and Owen in Sydney. I will do my best by them, by my family, by the residents and by you, my fellow councillors. Thank you.
Item 5, declarations of interest from members and officers. Are there any declarations of interest to be made at this stage?
Madam Mayor, myself and two of my colleagues are members of Essex County Council.
Item 6, Brentwood Borough Council elections. The results of the elections are tabled in front of you. Item 7, political groups on the council. Mr. Stevenson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I take the pleasure of congratulating you on your mayoral appointment. Notices have been received from the Brentwood Alliance Group, the Conservative Group and the Reform UK Group indicating they wish to be treated as political groups on the council and listing their membership of their group.
Councillor Hurst.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. May I congratulate you on your appointment, and indeed Councillor Rubik on his appointment as well. Really good to see you in your new positions. On this item, I think it's just important to point out that the structure as laid out here does not truly reflect the way the borough voted in these most recent elections. This council has no overall control. And to be honest with you, that's reflected this evening in the fact that the administration group does not have the numbers to get its business through this evening. I'm afraid we could end up with a messy evening unless I'm listened to. No overall control means that we have the opportunity, and it's really for the next 2 years where we go through a dramatic period of change in this borough, to all work together, to collaborate and to be inclusive and listen to everybody's views. Yet it has been the intention, I think, of the administration group to put forward a straightforward administration and opposition structure. I have to say that you haven't got the numbers to do it that way. And I have to say as well, I really think it would be reasonable to support Councillor Aspinall as leader of the council with his chosen deputy, because they are the largest group. But actually the committee structure that we have put forward in front of us here today excludes the other two significant groups on this council. And I would suggest that if we want to get this business through this evening, we actually change and reflect in that construction of the committees that we're putting forward here the true nature of no overall control. There are 8 committees. 4 of those legitimately, with 51% of the votes in the chamber, should fall to the administration group, but the chairmanship, the chairship of the other 4 should not. And I would contend that of the non-policy committees, 2 of those chairs should fall to the Conservative group and 2 should fall to Reform. Similarly, all of the deputy chairs at the moment are from the administration group. Again, that is not the inclusive nature of no overall control. It does not reflect the true political voting of the members of the residents of this borough. And I would contend that it would be healthy for the vice chairs of the policy groups, again, to fall 2 to the Conservatives and 2 to Reform. If the administration were minded to take that on board and we were to make those changes, and I would suggest, Madam Mayor, that we may wish to have a 5 to 10 minute adjournment just to discuss this, then I think we would be able to support Councillor Aspinall as leader of this council. However, I fear that if that is not the case, we could end up without a leader at the end of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item 7, thank you for your, Councillor Hurst, for your speech. I think it would be helpful if we take that comments on board at item 10, if that's okay, but the speech obviously recognised at the political group item on agenda 7, but obviously item 8, 9 and 10, it might be worth the leader taking on board your comments.
Councillor Hurst.
May I just say that in that case, we will obviously be voting against the appointment of a leader in items and a deputy leader in items 8 and 9. Without clarifying this before we get there, then I'm afraid that the administration will not have the support of a majority of the members here this evening, in my view.
then we need to do this.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Councillor Hurst. The next part of this item, just to move the recommendation to note the political groups on the council. If we could do that first, then perhaps it might be worth an adjournment if we think that you need some discussion to, or we go to those items and go to the votes.
So I will move the recommendation on page 13 of the agenda that Council notes the notices of political groups served on the Chief Executive. Do I have a seconder?
I'm happy to second that motion.
Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Majority it is agreed. Yeah, agreed by majority.
Then I propose we have a recess at this stage.
I don't think we need.
I don't think a discussion across the chamber is going to resolve this issue very easily. I think it's best we have a 15-minute break at least.
Happy. Happy to have a 10-minute adjournment for group leaders, chief exec and monitoring officer. Thank you. Could I ask members and guests to take their seats, please? Thank you. Could I ask you to sit down, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, members. After discussions with group leaders and deputy group leaders, the suggestion is that items 8 to 12 will be deferred to an extraordinary council meeting that can be called as soon as possible, and we will go to now to item 13. Is that agreed? Agreed. Okay.
So, item 13, MHCLG Structural Change Order, SCO Input Request, Response Report. The report begins on page 35 of the supplementary agenda with the recommendations on the same page. Councillor Kendall, please move the recommendations. You have 5 minutes to speak.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation on page 35 of tonight's agenda. We've all had the letter from Ruth Miller, who's the Co-Deputy Director for Local Government Reorganisation, that she sent to a number of Chief Executives. We've all had that in our papers. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to read through it. The letter, just in case anyone hasn't, the letter talks about the Structural Changes Order, which will establish the new councils and abolish the existing councils. Brentwood will remain responsible for services in our area until we are abolished on the 1st of April 2028. The order provides the transitional arrangements, with the core of that being elections to shadow authorities and preparatory functions to enable the assumption of local government and powers on the 1st of April 2028. Ministers have already taken key decisions on a number of areas within the order, including the name of the unitary authority is proposed will be called the Mid-Essex Council. Joint committees, a joint committee will be established for each new council, and the implementation team, there will be one implementation team. On electoral arrangements, the order will replace any scheduled local elections in May 2027 with all elections to the new councils. The council has been asked for more information to do with those changes. You will note that we've had information or requests regarding returning officers, warding arrangements and parish elections. A note was sent round by officers with the makeup of new wards with the number of councillors per ward. I understand that there is obviously talk amongst different authorities in Essex. I know Harlow has expressed some views, and I understand Essex County Council has also expressed some views. I believe, according for a judicial review of LGR process. I'm not sure how much that's going to cost residents of Essex, what the chances are of it being successful, or how long it will take. But until we hear differently from the government, we are working on the basis that LGR is still going ahead. So I move the recommendation, and I'll respond to members. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kendall. Do you have a seconder?
I'm happy to second to reserve my right to speak.
Councillor Quirk, please.
Councillor Quirk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I'd like to speak quite vehemently against this, if I may. The Essex County Council have been mentioned. Let me just make the position clear from Essex County Council, which I'm now Deputy Leader. This whole LGR project that's been forced upon us by the Labour government is completely ill-conceived and completely and utterly misguided. I won't be voting for anything that seeks to force this through for the following reasons. To Councillor Kendall's point, how much is it going to cost by way of judicial review? I can answer that very succinctly insofar as a lot less than the £105 million that it will cost the taxpayers of Essex to indeed go through with LGR. There is no mandate for this. The Labour Party, in their election manifesto up until 2024, July 2024, didn't mention this. There is no mandate. They have they're not warranted in any way whatsoever to push this through. But also be clear about a couple of other things, apart from the outrageous cost, which, by the way, will take about 25 years to pay back by way of the Essex taxpayer. And that is, of course, that, as we can see from the schedule here, insofar as how the councils will be constituted if the 5 unitaries go ahead, which is the subject of the judicial review by way of Essex County Council Reform Group, it halves democratic representation, halves the amount of councillors that will be representing the people of Essex. Now, how those on this side of the chamber can be okay with that, I don't know. They're supposed to be the Liberal Democrats. The clue is in the name. So vehemently against this for that reason. But also, think about this. At the moment, across Essex, we have some very, very sensitive vital services. For instance, adult social care, children's services and education. Across the country, you're going to have to find multiples heads of services to run those services on the basis that at the moment we have one head of adult social care, one head of children's services. 5 unitaries means 5 of those. Now multiply that across the 40 or so counties of this country. This is brainless. This is idiotic. We won't be voting for it. As far as I'm concerned, members can do what they like, but Reform have a position on this. And as I say, I think that's been laid bare insofar as the very, very quick actions of the Reform administration at Essex County Council, where we have already submitted a pre-action letter to Steve Reed, the Secretary of State, to do everything we can to stop this illegitimacy.
Thank you. Councillor Russell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I won't speak as enthusiastically as Councillor Quirk, but I do share his feelings on this. The reason why I won't speak so long is that I've spoken about this subject time and time again, and I vote against it time and time again. So it'll be no surprise that I'll be voting against it this time. There are just so many reasons I've mentioned in the past for why this would be wrong, representation being one of them. Local authorities born bankrupt as they face the pressures with SEND education, etc. You know, it goes on and on and on, and there's no reason for me to go on and on. I'll be voting against this. Thank you.
Councillor Hurst.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. So, from my perspective, the devil's in the detail. I mean, our party position overall is that this should only go forward where there is local consensus to support it. And I look at some of the pieces in this paper and think, you know, whilst there is a situation where I could support local government reform, this isn't it. Looking particularly at the table on page 37, I find it really strange how we've actually bundled our wards into groupings. There is very little in common between Hutton South and Brentwood South. In fact, there's a very great big piece of woodland that keeps many of us apart. There is a much closer affinity between Hutton South and Shenfield. In fact, Hutton and Shenfield is a common term pretty much across the borough. We all know that people shop in the same place, they go to the same churches, they go to the same bars, they have friends across the piece. You know, this does not reflect proper community representation here in this borough, and I'm afraid this evening I won't be able to support it.
Councillor Barber.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Congratulations on your new role. I'm sure you'll do an exemplary job, as will your Deputy Mayor. It should come as no surprise to anyone in this chamber that, as I oppose local government reform, I will be voting against this item tonight. Just to summarise the reasons, there is no democratic mandate for the change. We surveyed thousands of residents over the last 12 months, and about 78% of them said they either had no view or opposed local government reform. And I think if you're going to change local government, you should have the consent of the people who will be affected by the deterioration of services. there will be a period where we do nothing as a council but focus on change, either how we deal with outgoing staff or recruiting new staff, and we will be getting a lot of pushback from officers that they won't have the bandwidth to do everything because of local government reform. There is a dispute in terms of, if you do believe in unitaries, at what level you have to have them to make them economically viable. 5 unitaries, certainly for a lot of people who actually support unitaries, doesn't make any sense. They think it should be 3. So there's no agreement on the way in which it should be done. There's no mandate for the change, and there will be also, more importantly as well, reduced representation. If you take the Brentwood Hutton County Ward, represented currently by 13 councillors, the plan will be to have 5.5 effectively. Now, anyone who has ward work at the moment will probably say, how on earth are they going to do 2.5 times the ward work they currently do and have the bandwidth still to do it as a council? A lot of people will have to quit being a councillor because the work involved will be too great. And I think the disruption to essential services is too much of a risk. And if the Labour government really want to actually improve things, they should look at adult social care and the NHS and how they integrate those services more effectively rather than abandoning a district-county model. Thank you.
Councillor Chinnery.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Agree with the comments made by colleagues in the Conservative group. I will not add too much more, but from a resident point of view, LGR is something that is already very complicated, and when I level with the residents, they don't really understand what this change will deliver, what this change will mean, when the change will be implemented, when will we have elections. They're just, the more we talk about LGR, the more questions we all have. And considering this Labour government cannot run a bath, let alone a country, we need to just go back to basics, continue delivering good local services and scrap the projects. I was in favour of unitaries at first. I like the idea of having a single point of accountability. In principle, that works. I know we've had issues kind of which is a borough issue, which is a county issue. But the more this project goes on, the more questions there are, the more money it costs, the more petty squabbles we will end up getting into over boundaries which are concerning according to this. I don't like how Herongate, Ingrave and West London will only have one representative, whilst everyone else will have 3 points of contact. There are just so many questions, so many concerns, and for that I'll be voting against this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Minot.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, and also congratulations on your elevation to the mayoralty. I'm curious that we've had several people speaking already, and we've had nobody quoting what it actually says in the report on page 38 in terms of option 2, which is do not approve the proposed responses. And let's be clear here, we're not talking about the whole local government reorganisation process per se. We're talking about, we're being asked to make council-specific responses to MHCLG request for information required to draft a structural change order. Yeah, it's all connected. That's a very technical question. It's a very technical request coming into us. And what our own report says, if we don't approve the proposed responses, that failure to approve the responses would risk delay or omission from the countrywide submission, potentially weakening Brentwood's influence over the content of the draft SCO, and, I'm going to stress this, exposing the authority to reputational and operational risk. I'm assuming that all of the people who've spoken so far are quite happy with exposing the authority to reputational and operational risk, which is somewhat worrying. Now, I'm saying all of that. I'm also saying I agree with the points that are being made about the criticism of this process. I've never been in favour of this process. It's a process which has been imposed on Essex and imposed on the people of Essex by this government. I've always had that problem. I think the current system is a relatively good system and other ways of changing it would be a better thing. But that's not what's in front of us right now. And That's what it says in this report in terms of what various speakers so far have proposed to do. Right, okay. Well, in that case, they don't want people to hear the downside of this. People having spoken on that side, they don't want to hear the downside on this side.
Okay, Councillor Russell, have you got a seconder? Okay. On going to the vote. Yeah, that's what is in the Constitution. Okay.
All those in favour?
Yeah.
Against?
Yeah, that's carried. And now we'll vote on.
Sorry. Point of information. Sorry. Just a point of information. Could the, before we vote, just so we're clear on this, could the Chief Exec just clarify the situation in terms of what it means if we vote?
In the Constitution, when we vote to go to the vote, we go to the vote. There is no other speaker. It is in the Constitution. The member needs to take his seat.
So we're basically voting on something members don't know the full relevance of if we vote a certain way.
I've got to push this. This is constitutionally, it's going against the Constitution here.
We have voted on going to the vote. We need to go straight to the vote.
Okay, so we'll go to the vote.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Please can I...
Sorry, Madam Mayor.
We're going to do the vote now, and please no more calling out. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Please can I ask members to vote for, against or abstain when I call your name? Councillor Nikki Cuthbert. For. Councillor Aaron. Against. Councillor Aspinall. Councillor Bax.
Against.
Councillor Barber.
Against.
Councillor Gareth Barrett.
For.
Councillor Dr Barrett.
For.
Councillor Chinnery.
Against.
Councillor Martin Cuthbert.
For.
Councillor Davis. For. Councillor Fulcher. For. Councillor Gascoigne.
Against.
Councillor Gelderbloom.
Against.
Councillor Godfrey.
Against.
Councillor Gordon.
Against.
Councillor Gorton.
For.
Councillor Gregory.
Against.
Councillor Haigh.
For.
Councillor Hurst.
Against.
Councillor Kendall.
For.
Councillor LaPlane.
For.
Councillor Mayo. Councillor Munden.
For.
Councillor Minot.
For.
Councillor Nicholson. Councillor Parker.
Against.
Councillor Patel.
Against.
Councillor Pound. Councillor Quirk.
Against.
Councillor Rigby.
For.
Councillor Russell.
Against.
Councillor Sankey.
For.
Councillor Thompson.
Against.
Councillor Wagland. Councillor Worsford.
For.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's 17 for and 18 against. The motion is lost.
Confirm the motion is lost. Thank you. So we move on to item 14, urgent business. There are no items of urgent business before us this evening, and therefore business is concluded. Everyone is welcome to join me at the civic reception for some refreshments.
Distinguished and honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen, you see the upstanding of the worshipful the Mayor of the Borough of Brentwood, Councillor Nick Cuthbert, the Deputy Mayor of Brentwood, Councillor Ben Rigby,
present.